790 AM, 94.1 FM, KFGO.com, the KFGO mobile app. Follow 790 KFGO on Twitter. Like the KFGO Morning Crew on Facebook.
Another painful loss for Vikings fans. Eric Thompson, Daily Norseman, joining us now on the KFGO Morning Crew. Good morning to you, Eric.
Oh, yes. What a wonderful morning again. Another chapter in the ongoing saga, especially it seems like whenever these two teams get together, it's the same result, just a different kind of heartbreak.
Yeah, and another close game, another 1-point game. It was the same as the Titans a few weeks back.
Yeah, I mean, this team, the Vikings, can and probably should be 3-2 right now, and instead they're 1-4. They're 3.5 games back in their own division, and 3 games behind their second place team in the division. So it's a huge uphill battle with some tough games coming up again. It just does not seem like their year right now.
Okay, so a lot of people going to the critical call on 4th down for Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer instead of kicking the field goal, going for it, following the Daily Norseman on Twitter. You also pointed out that end around with Adam Thielen on 3rd down. Take us through some of your thoughts on the final minutes of that Vikings game, Eric.
Yeah, I can't argue against the decision to go for it because, I mean, when you really think about it, it's 1 yard to basically kind of seal the game, and they had 94 yards, even if you don't get it, to come back and score the touchdown. So it was an opportunity for the Vikings to end a losing streak against a really good team on the road. And they had the way they had been running the ball left and right, even after Dalvin Cook went down for the rest of the game. Mike Boone and Alexander Madison on that drive, I think, were averaging somewhere around 8 yards a carry on that drive. And even the 3rd down decision to get really close with Thielen, that was these were all the decision making process. I have no problem with Mike Zimmer. The execution was a little bad. A lot of people are blaming. That I've seen the still frame of Alexander Madison, having a whole bunch of room to his right. Live time, if you actually watch the video of the play, I don't think he really had much time to bounce outside. But again, you can always second guess, and hindsight's always 20/20. But I really did like the decision to go for it. It's just it seems like whenever the Seahawks are involved and the Vikings are involved, this is the kind of result that you get.
Eric Thompson, Daily Norseman, joining us on the KFGO Morning Crew, breaking down the Vikings' heartbreaking loss to the Seahawks. So that's the 4th down failed 1st down. Then the Seahawks get the ball. What did you see defensively from the Vikings that just made you shake your head?
Well, it was both of the 4th downs. I mean, that was obviously the first one. I think as soon as they got down to the red zone, you kind of felt what was coming, and it actually did happen again on the 4th down. But the 4th and 10, that was the toughest one to swallow. It looked like Wilson was just kind of heaving the ball up there. Dantzler is in position. He's right there, kind of lost track of the ball, and then DK Metcalf does what DK Metcalf does. I mean, the guy's built like a action figure, and he can run and jump just with anyone. And he went up and got the ball. Dantzler lost it, and that was the kind of the play. This is, if you're a lifelong Vikings fan, like a lot of us are, it's here we go again. And maybe with a couple other choice words thrown in there that aren't safe for radio, but it just seems like I kind of like the defensive play calling. They brought pressure when they could. It just didn't work out, and you kind of have to shake your head. And it's like, wow, how many times has Russell Wilson done this, and how many times have the Vikings done this? It's one of those. As brutal as last night's loss was, do you think it even? I mean, personally, I don't think it sniffs even like the top 10 of toughest Vikings losses in my lifetime, because the stakes aren't high as high as some of the other ones. So it's a painful loss, and it's probably it's going to take a small miracle for the Vikings to be competitive, even with the extra playoff team this season.
Okay, so
yeah.
My buddy texted me last night, and you tell me if it's because you're talking about where this loss fits into the Vikings and into their season. He says, well, don't worry, that's just at the end of the year going to be remembered as one of 13 losses on the year for the Vikings. Are the Vikings this bad of a team?
No, and I jokingly tweeted this out last night. I said, but they're the best 1-4 team in the league right now. No, they're a good team, and again, the tank for Trevor, or of course, in Fargo, and in my personal opinion, the tank for Trey Lance talk. It's fun to consider, but this Vikings team, they're probably too talented to get one of those top 5 picks this season. Especially, I mean, you look around the league. There's both of those New York teams are going to have something to say about the top pick. And there's a lot of bad teams. The team that the Vikings are playing next week, they've already fired their coach. The team that the Vikings
Falcons
beat last week. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bad teams out there. And yeah, if you're one of those fans that's already hoping for a big draft pick, the Vikings are probably going to win. I would assume somewhere in that 5, 6, 7 range. Where they'll still probably pick around the top 10, but it might be too late for a lot of those quarterbacks that you're dreaming of. And again, the Vikings are tied into that Kirk Cousins contract for better or worse for basically the next 2 seasons at least. So it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. I think for the Vikings, it's really disappointing. Just that, again, this team probably should be 3-2 and in the mix, but it looks like they're going to be. It's a huge uphill battle for them now.
Yeah. We're visiting with Eric Thompson, Daily Norseman. As you mentioned, the Falcons are horrible. They fired their coach. What would your response be if we end up losing to the Falcons next weekend?
Yeah, and the Falcons, again, that team has a lot of talent. They should definitely not be 0-5. You think the Titans and Seahawks games were bad for the Vikings. The Falcons had 2 spectacular losses with huge leads in their games as well. So, again, that's 2 teams that have been kind of snake bit this season, and they're going to be a decent opponent for the Vikings, especially because the Falcons can put up some points and put up yards, and the Vikings defense, as we've seen through the first 5 games, can really struggle at times. So, yeah, but if the Falcons come to town next week and actually get their first win against the Vikings, I think it's going to be a pretty loud just the shouts for Zimmer's job, Spielman's job, everyone's job are going to be really loud next week. So hopefully they can right the ship. And
who do we blame? Do we blame the coaching? Do we blame the quarterback? Who do we blame right now?
I mean, if you look on Twitter, you can blame just about everyone, and that's kind of what the Vikings fans have been fighting over. It's like, okay, you have to place the blame correctly. It's this team I think it was just the perfect storm. They had a lot of new pieces, especially on defense. They didn't have the preseason and the off season that they usually do, and it really has shown. And again, when you're up 13-0 on an undefeated team on the road, these are the games. And I mean, you couldn't have drawn up a better first half for the Vikings. It just kind of seems like, I hate to kind of throw up my hands and say, well, this is the Vikings, but it kind of is right now. They seem to find a way to lose games like this when it was they did 80% of the game, they did just about everything right.
Yeah, we're feeling the pain right there with you. And we're talking 1-point losses in the remaining minutes. That even makes it tougher, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those where they kind of assume that, okay, well, maybe, was it just better to get blown out after the Vikings went down 21-13? But a win is a win, and a loss is a loss. Again, it was a really entertaining game. It was it kind of did end up being the shootout that they expected, probably not in the manner, but yeah, it's one of those. It's those kind of losses hurt, and they're really going to have to bounce back and rattle off a few wins in a row if they want to be competitive.
We're hoping for a win on Sunday. All right, Eric, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You bet. That's Eric Thompson, Daily Norseman, joining us here on the KFGO Morning Crew.